Magnus has a question here. I find it hard to judge when my proportions are inaccurate until well into the rendering, even when measuring. Any tips on getting likeness early? Yeah, absolutely. This is I think a really interesting question. I'm not sure if we have like all the visual aids here necessary to answer that question too specifically, but what I'll say is that in a drawing, let's imagine that we're starting out a drawing just on a blank sheet of paper, right? At each kind of stage of the drawing, the information that you have on the paper, information here is you can translate as lines, shapes, values. The information that you have on the paper at each stage needs to be organized and maximized in order for you to be able to use it to achieve the greatest degree of likeness possible in that moment. Now at the Florence Academy, you have a saying that is, well, you variously have this. You know, if you're studying in Florence, maybe you don't hear it, but if you're studying at the US branch, I definitely talk about this a lot. But you want to be as close to the subject or representing the subject as possible at every stage of the drawing. So even when you have like your first 10 lines on the paper, it is imperative that you maximize the utility of those 10 lines in terms of how they represent or look like your subject. Now, to get it to a place where your first 10 lines are most useful, you know, this is a subject or an idea that's best suited to kind of drawing the figure, because you have the feet down here, the head up here, and a kind of a gesture in between those, and you can use those exterior or contour lines to help you kind of show a little bit that gesture. With a portrait, really an outline of the head can't tell you much about the pose until you have maybe some interior lines that are showing the kind of direction of the features, the tilt of the features. So in terms of judging the proportions at an early stage, I think a lot of it does have to do with kind of organization and completeness. If you are going to judge proportion, we need each side, left, right, top, bottom, represented. And so there's a tendency probably that some of us will get into the details a little bit too early. We'll start to draw in the features without having kind of completed the construction of the head. And definitely that can be a hindrance in terms of developing the proportion at a very early stage. But just in terms of like what you can improve probably in your drawing without seeing your drawings in particular, I would say that working on how to simplify your description of the features, right? So how to draw, instead of drawing all of the eye, how to draw the eye socket, right? Instead of drawing the lips, how do we draw the structure of the jaw and the chin underneath where the mouth is, right? These are all steps and strategies that you can use to assist your drawing becoming more accurate at an early stage. But that accuracy is probably going to be a product more of organization rather than simply a training of your eye. Certainly you can train your eye to recognize things better, but if you are looking at a complete chaos, even the best eye is going to be a bit limited in terms of what it can kind of recognize and correct. So a lot of it's about organization, and a lot of it's about efficient simplification. So those are two kind of subjects that you can really look into in terms of capturing a likeness earlier.